bullets turn to demons on the pane. They peel themselves right off the glass. Crawl into my skin as we race past. Laser shooting from the city lights. Cut through me like knives in the night. Here window shows them laughing loud. Hologram people, a waiting crowd. Doctor, please don't leave me here alone. Just sleep it off in a serotonin. A month goes by like we
Well, we'll see how long I play this game still. I still almost died because of just crap. Focused on some dude, and of course some red or purple dude. They shoot me in the back. And then I get like freaking frozen while it's happening, and then I have to break out of that while it's happening. And yeah, I'm still not a fan of a lot of things in this game, but oh well. It is what it is. It's not changing, so at least I didn't die on my first attempt coming back after not playing for a while too, so I was still getting used to the controls again. But yeah, it's just a confirmation again, like the only way I can ever play this game is as the most purest tank ever, because I hate the cover shooter. I hate not being able to take hits, so, which probably means this game's not for me. What I love is they added the realism thing I saw, that new game mode, where it's basically like Fallout survival mode, except not nearly as good. I'm sure, because Fallout survival is like, it's not just that, it's obviously an open world and there's actually interesting things to do besides just doing the same mission over again. And also there are ways around it, and that makes you feel strong in survival mode by surviving in the beginning, but then learning how to conquer that easily. This game survival mode, I'm sure, is just, no, you're always frail. The enemies always are going to kill you super quick, so there's really not much you can do. But you know what? That's just like the campaign. I'm like, man, are you kidding me? How is that any different? I'm playing a build that virtually no player... There's a few that do it, but hardly any players do it, because, of course... And also, obviously, in endgame, it's totally pointless, because if I go, like, to legendary strongholds or whatever, most of the time, like, and especially if I were to try a raid at all, like, most of the time, tanks are just a hindrance, and all you want is just maxing your damage out, period, and that's it, in this game. So, most players, they already play the game, like, realistic mode, or I don't know how that could change it anymore, because most players are already, like, mostly red cores. They can only take a few hits before they die, but then they do enough damage to like kill the enemy super quick on top of it. So it's like, okay, so you're just taking that, and I mean, if anything, I feel like the most common player of this game will definitely enjoy realism and probably excel at it, because it's already what the base game is if you play most of the end game builds where you're just a frail glass cannon. But yeah, that ain't me, so I'm just sticking here playing my super tank build. I like this tank build because the only other tank builds that I ever could determine in this game, any other kind of tank build but this one basically just is a shield tank build, just purely relies on bulwark, shield, and your pistol, and I just hate that playstyle. So this is the only kind of balanced tank I could find where you're just not only relying on your shield. And you know, with Vanguard and Reformation on my pistol and with bulwark, I can still hold my shield out relatively long, and it's still useful for those situations. But then my character just feels so much tankier. And as long as you just spam the dodge button and you stay close to enemies for the adrenaline rush to always keep kicking on too on top of it, then I mean, I've even on Legendary, I think I did some videos of this build a while back where I was soloing not the entire Legendary Stronghold, but like the first areas. Now I know I could probably, with enough patience, solo an entire Stronghold on this build on Legendary, but it would be so insanely long and really annoying because I'm sure I would die many times, and every time you die you start the entire thing over again. So I would not have fun, it would not be worth it, and it would not be worth my time to spend hours and hours and hours trying to record doing a Legendary Stronghold from start to finish on this build. But all I care about is that I know it's possible, because if I can get through the first few areas, and sometimes very easily too, without even much struggle sometimes, then I know with struggle I could probably get through some of the, at least I'm not going to brag and say maybe I can solo every Legendary Stronghold, but I'm sure there's some of the easier ones out there this guy can probably solo from top to finish, which, you know, is still pretty good for a tank build, because most builds I see out there that solo run and speed run Legendaries, they're of course players with glass cannon builds yet again, or basically an equivalent of a glass cannon build compared to this build, where you have to go way more into your damage than tankiness. And then they basically just have the entire map and enemy spawn points memorized, which that has nothing to do with your build, and it's not something I would have fun trying to figure out. So I'll take it where I can. I'll play Legendary Strongholds in teams sometimes just for the fun to see if we can do it sometimes, and that's kind of it. I've kind of hit my limit. I mean, I'm just going to keep grinding because I still don't have my expertise maxed out anywhere close. I feel like this build with all the expertise on my armor particularly maxed out, that'll be another little decent chunk of both armor and armor regen. At that point, I think heroic, when I'm maxed out, because already I can still sometimes die on heroic, but it's rare. But once I'm maxed out, heroic will probably feel finally like, you know, I never die ever at that point when I'm completely maxed out. And then maybe I'll try a Legendary Stronghold from start to finish, but I know it's not going to be enough. It's like maybe 100k armor max that it's going to give me. It's not nearly enough tankiness, I know, to overcome the ridiculous amount of damage you take in Legendary and the ridiculous amount of drone bombs that hit you, which is also why the shield build tank builds are usually better for Legendary, because the shield bomb spamming is just so insanely annoying. And I remember I did a variation of this build with whatever that exotic is that makes it so explosives can't stagger you. And I thought about doing that. It's just, I hate, like, you would have to redesign this build to only tailor it to Legendary, and in my view be worse than Heroic. I mean, you could do Heroic, but it would just be like, what's the point of giving up that stuff that you don't need in Heroic? Because in Heroic, you don't need Foundry. You don't need your shield to be super tanky because you don't take as much damage. You don't need to have stagger immunity to drone bomb spamming for the most part to still survive well. So it's much better off just maximizing your armor and armor regen in Heroic when you're a tank build. But on Legendary, you're kind of forced into that crap, and it's another reason I don't like it. So, of course, I come back to this game just to crap on it in a rant again, which, you know, means probably I'm not going to keep playing. But, you know, I'm here. We'll see how this goes.